Mike's on Mike, a conversation about politics, government, and Jacksonville, with 50-year opinion leaders Mike Hightower, Mike Tolbert, and award-winning broadcaster and longtime political observer Mike Miller.
The opinions, insights, perceptions, and views expressed on Mike's on Mike are strictly those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the Jacksonville History Center or anyone else.
Welcome to another episode of Mike's on Mike. I'm Mike Miller, along with Mike Hightower here with us, and Mike Tolbert is back at the ranch, where he's taking care of business as well as the horses that are out there. Of course, Mike's on Mike brought to us by the Jacksonville History Center, and our thanks as always to Dr. Alan Bliss and his fine staff, and most particularly to the very generous donors who keep the lights on and the cameras rolling. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you very much.
Today, Mike's on Mike is once again on location. This time we are back in Mayor Donna Deegan's office, which is great, and thank you, Donna, for bringing us in.
I think we should just, make a little space for you guys over here on the fourth.
They're working for me. Alice says I can have any room in the house. Anyhow, Mayor Deegan is now 2.5 years into her first term as mayor of Donna.
Time flies when you're having fun.
There you go. Back in her 2023 installation speech, she laid out a vision that was centered on revitalizing downtown, building a connected riverfront, park system, improving infrastructure in long-neglected neighborhoods, supporting small business, and restoring transparency and trust in government. Today, we're going to talk about what she's accomplished, what's surprised her, what may have fallen short, and what comes next as Jacksonville heads towards the 2027 re-election campaign. And once again, thank you so much for hosting us here.
Thank you for being here in the lovely fourth floor.
There you go.
Reality.
And Mr. Tolbert, you're going to kick it off as always?
I'll be happy to. Mayor, again, I apologize for not being there in person. I wish I could be. Let's start big picture. When you first came into office, you talked about running Jacksonville, turning Jacksonville into a city that rises together. When you look back over the past 2.5 years, what surprised you the most? Either challenges you didn't expect or progress that moved faster than you had anticipated?
Well, listen, I think it certainly was a priority and continues to be a priority for me to move this city together. I'd like to point out that despite all the occasional contention you will see between me and the city council, that we have moved 99% of what we've tried to get done through the council. And I think that shows quite a bit of cooperation. Obviously, there are a few things we get stuck on, but at the end of the day, if you take the politics and a lot of the talking points out of it, we've gotten a whole lot of stuff done. So I've been very pleased with that. I was extraordinarily pleased that we were able to keep the stadium negotiations on track and on schedule and get that done when we needed to. I think that has borne out in so many ways for all of our priorities with that community benefits agreement. So that's been something I was thrilled to be able to keep on track. All of our big rock projects in terms of the riverfront, right on track. So all that's great. I would say, you've asked me this question before about surprises. I'm not sure anything is surprising in politics. I mean, after somebody's been a salty reporter for 30 years, how can anything really surprise you? But I guess I would say if there is a disappointment, it is simply that I feel like occasionally politics can still get in the way of progress, and I really. That saddens me. Then I would love to see everybody always put their love for Jacksonville in front of anything else political. And that's just, I can wish for that, but that's just not the reality in politics, I suppose. But I'm mostly just incredibly pleased with what we've been able to accomplish. And I'll say one more thing. I think the fact that we were able to, when everybody said it wasn't possible to do, and I know it's going to be tough still. It's going to be a big deep dive, but to be able to bring our public safety back to a defined pension that allowed them to once again recruit well and pay them a wage that will make sense for people to want to do that very dangerous job, I think was also a really important thing to be able to accomplish. And we got that across the finish line too. It's going to mean that we've got to make sure that we're always watching every penny, but we should do that anyway.
Yes.
I was going to ask you what your biggest disappointment was, but you already told me.
Well, I thought that was part of the question, but maybe I was jumping ahead. I feel like mostly I've been just very grateful to be here, Mike. It's been the dream of a lifetime to be able to do this job and to see everything going from just talking points to actual, progress, when you're seeing things actually become reality in our city, these riverfront parks opening up, all this community benefits that we negotiated with the Jaguars actually coming to fruition on the riverfront and east side and elsewhere. I mean, all that it's really, I wish I could share everything that I know with you right now, but I can't. You're going to see over the next several months just how much is coming. And I'm just really, really grateful for that.
Well, Mayor, picking up on that, it seems like you're talking about all the good things that have accomplished, and as you said, a team effort. But it seems like almost every day there is a ribbon cutting or a groundbreaking, especially downtown. And I know downtown was important to you. Right. The new Riverfront Plaza, which is a revitalization of Friendship Fountain, is over the other night. The other downtown Riverfront parks hosted thousands for the annual Christmas lighting and the boat show. The Emerald Trail continues for progress. Mark Woods at the Times Union wrote, "The Riverfront finally is moving from rendering to reality." And I love that. Rendering to reality.
Yes.
For some of us, the three mics have heard rendering for what?
Yeah.
What do you think it is? Emma. But so this is the question I have to you. How do you keep this momentum going, especially with the election timelines and the shifting of the markets right now?
Well, what did I say to you when I first came into office is that I'm not patient and I want to move fast. And that's what we have tried to do, because if you don't move fast, what we've seen over history in Jacksonville and probably everywhere, but I've only been here in Jacksonville, is that the longer you delay, the more things fall apart. Right. And so you have to have a bold vision. You have to be willing to go toward that vision very quickly and try to bring as many people with you as you can. And that's what we've done. I think that's why we were able to move the stadium negotiations so quickly, with tremendous help from the Jaguars and from the council. I think it's why you've seen all the progress on the riverfront. I mean, we have made it a priority to move fast. And so I think when you look at a couple of things that we've done, it's really made a big difference. When I came in, I said the most important thing we will do is invest in that really sexy word, infrastructure, right? As I said, make infrastructure sexy again. Remember we talked about that? The bulkheads are not sexy, but they're incredibly important, done along the riverfront. All that stuff that makes people want to come spend that private money here, we've been investing in. So in addition to all those public amenities that people are now able to use, we have created an environment that makes it attractive for people to want to invest. We have worked diligently on our permitting process to continue to whittle down the days that it takes to complete the permit process. That has made tremendous strides since we came into office, and that has, in addition, helped to move that interest forward. So I think you can never control what the market does, but I'm going to use Brian Mall and his group as an example.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that whole footprint of what they're putting together. It takes a vision, and it takes people willing to invest in that vision, including us here at the city, to make those things happen. And since you talk about downtown, the reason I have been so bullish on downtown is because it is very clear that between the state and the economy and other things, there may be more bites at the money we're allowed to take in for our local government, for our economy. And so what's the key to that? If we can really make downtown go, and the investment you're seeing in downtown right now, that will give us so much revenue to invest in all the other parts of the city. But even with all that, I would say that, we have, and I hope people are paying attention to this. I know it's hard for everybody to pay attention to everything. We've invested $80 million additional dollars into those most disinvested neighborhoods that we said were our focus because of the broken promises of consolidation. So we've really moved a great distance toward trying to move that dial. But I think making downtown go will help that even further.
My follow-up question is, you talked about Brian Mall, but there's been others about the push, and your track record speaks for itself. The private investment that has been going on, it's been shocking, stunning, and it shows. Do you still feel the confidence that, given even the unknowns, that for the next, do you still feel confident about that public-private sector partnership that you have created over the last 2 years? Are you
Absolutely. So bullish on us because I know what's coming. But I will say beyond that, I would say to you that I don't think our business community and the folks that are moving here and moving into our business community and creating more jobs and I mean, I could go on and on about things like the Holon plant that are coming here and creating hundreds of jobs that are going to be sending vehicles all over the world. That's the first time we've had a manufacturing plant in Florida in 100 years. I mean, vehicle manufacturing.
Yeah.
So I mean, all of these things, every time you see a new piece of the Riverfront open, every time you see a new building come up, I mean, everyone is talking about Jacksonville. We're topping every list right now in terms of best places to do business, fastest growing, all the things that you want to see. That University of Florida campus, which is going to bring the workforce of tomorrow right here to downtown. I mean, all those things are gathering the attention of the private sector. And you are going to see an incredible amount of investment as long as we keep going and we keep investing it like we should in our downtown. And I think that in my discussions with council, I think most of us are very much on the same page with that is very much a key that unlocks the door for the rest of our city.
Yeah, let me throw in something that just came to mind. So pardon me because I'm going to change it off a little bit. Focusing on downtown is extremely important, and I think we all realize that. But of course, you've got 14 district council members that represent other parts of the city. Is there a potential jealousy issue where those on the other side of the fourth floor are going to say, well, you're putting all of this emphasis on the downtown area. What about us in Arlington? What about us on the north side? What about us on the west side?
There's still great investment in those places, Mike. All the things that are in the capital improvement plan are still there. That work is still happening. But I think what everybody realizes right now, and obviously we're still investing in our different council districts, but I think what everyone is realizing, because they're seeing it happen in real time, is that infusion that we're going to get of jobs and cash and the ability for small businesses to be more successful, and all of it is very much connected to what we are doing down here. So we want to be able to have that infusion that we can continue to spend in other parts of the city without having to raise taxes or without having to worry about what possible thing could Tallahassee take away from us tomorrow that would allow us to do some of the things that we want to do. If we continue that growth, and it's happening. University of Florida is just getting started. All these buildings that you've seen on the drawing board are now coming up out of the ground. I would invite you to go. I mean, the reason I brought up Bryan is because it's just right in my backyard. You know, all these things that are going up right behind City Hall. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is all, they're cranes in the air. I think that when you look at the other council district people, they understand that, yes, we need to continue to move forward on those projects like parks and other things in their districts. Those are very important. So I don't want to act like they're not important. But if you're going to focus on the one thing that's going to make our economy boom in a way that will help us to invest in every one of those districts, it's downtown.
Which is the rendering to reality.
Renderings to reality, yes.
President Trump created the DOGE, of course, to get rid of waste and fraud in federal government, something that was copied on the state level, and now we're seeing it on the local level as well. Now, federal DOGE is out of business, to the dismay of some and to the delight of many others. Your administration has been targeted by the state and the city council special committee. Been a lot of allegations about overspending and wasteful spending, but to many, seems like petty partisan politics and the intent of hurting you as mayor. And the other thing that isn't being discussed is that you started with your own DOGE committee group when you introduced the 904 Lean program,
right,
and came up with the Lean Competency System, the LCS. Tell me why that isn't being recognized and doesn't seem to have the kind of attention that the DOGE moniker is getting from the other side.
I can't explain it beyond the fact that I would simply say that that doesn't serve political purposes to give the credit where it's due on those things. But I will say that I do believe people are smarter than that, and I think that they see that there's a great deal that we put in place. I mean, the Lean program has saved hundreds of thousands of hours. It has helped us to keep city government at the same size. We haven't grown city government while our city has grown by almost 20,000 people a year. So I'm not necessarily bragging on the fact that we don't spend more per person than we spend in this city, but at the end of the day, we've done the absolute best we can to hold the size of government down and to create the best return on investment for our citizens that we possibly could with these lean processes. And they've been very successful. The transparency dashboards that allow people to look into everything we do here at the city in real time. The ability to use artificial intelligence in ways that help us save money. All those things we have worked very hard to do to try to make our government more efficient. I personally have not seen one thing that has come out of this DOGE committee locally and statewide. They never gave an example beyond the lovely proto box at the airport, which is at some point will go someplace else because it was never meant to stay there forever. It was meant to highlight a local company and to show some great technology that we have here in Jacksonville, which we've done. But at the end of the day, look, we have cooperated fully with this committee. We've cooperated with the state. We've given them everything. It was our fourth audit of the same stuff that we gave to the state. Sure, we can give it to you. These are the same auditors that we've already used to do our audit that we have to do every year anyway.
Right.
Please feel free. And what they came back and said was, over the last 5 years, you spent X number more than, well, how so? And how does COVID factor into that? And how does all the, how do all the federal dollars that came because of COVID factor into that? I mean, there was never an explanation of where the waste was or how there was waste. So unless you're going to tell me where the problem is and what you do to fix it, it is simply political talking points to me. I'm not saying that we don't always need to look at efficiency. We do, but we have. And I appreciate the fact that you brought up the fact that the administration was already doing a lot of that stuff. But we'll continue to cooperate because, whatever we can do to move this stuff through, we're happy to do it. But I am very pleased with the way our administration has handled those things.
I want you to kind of emphasize something you just said. I was talking to Talbert and I. I've been doing this here in Jacksonville 54 years. Talbert's much older than I am. But when you made the comment...
He's not even here to defend.
Yeah, well, and sorry, but he knows I was saying about him anyway. But you made a comment, and I think Mike and I can attest to this. Your comment is that government, you have not grown city government, yet we've got 20,000 more people.
Every year.
17,000
more people every year are moving to Jacksonville.
I mean, that is phenomenal. That's one of those aha moments.
Yeah.
And I don't think, again, people don't know that.
Well,
That's phenomenal.
I don't know that people know it, but it's part of the job. When I came in here, it was incredibly important for me to streamline processes, to make sure that we were being as efficient as possible. Because frankly, my biggest thing is we want to make sure we're spending our tax dollars wisely, but we also want people to be able to see that we are creating more affordability for them in terms of parks they can actually come and use for free and for the public. And we're creating more affordable housing and all those things. And we're going to show you on these dashboards exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it. We want people to see that transparency. And so it was really important to me to take all, whether it's removing, hindrances for small businesses or the permitting process or how we do things just in terms of our internal workings in City Hall. I want people to see that we are working to try to be as efficient as possible. And I hope that is noticed at some point. But, bottom line is it's part of the job. So I feel pretty good that we've been able to do it.
Congrats on that, though.
One of the targets of DOGE is also, by the way, your telehealth program.
Yeah, that's really regrettable.
And would you first of all, for people who may not be familiar with telehealth, tell us a little bit about that.
So that is a model for the nation. Our telehealth program. We're one, I think, of only 2 cities in the country that successfully set up this telehealth program this is completely for the uninsured. Mm-hmm. This has nothing to do with Medicaid. This has to do with our uninsured population. And so what it does is what happens, and for people that don't understand how healthcare costs can rise, is the more people that go to the emergency room, which is the most expensive way you can get treatment, the more that gets passed down to every healthcare cost we have. So it gets passed down to family, it gets passed down to everybody. it makes healthcare more expensive for everybody. And so we thought if we can provide a telehealth program that would connect people to a doctor just, over the screen,
Right.
can assess where that person can go in one of our safety net clinics for this issue or that, to keep them out of some people have to go to the emergency room if it's emergent, but if it's not, and we can keep them out of the emergency room, we can lower costs for everybody. So individual families have saved thousands of dollars by not having to go to the emergency room. And in terms of emergency room costs, more than $10 million have been saved, which doesn't get passed down to the consumer. So it has been a brilliant program. The folks who run Telescope Health have been with us since the last administration when they came in and helped with COVID. They've worked brilliantly with us in this administration. They've been fantastic. And these baseless in my mind, because we've looked at it every way from Sunday to try to figure out where they're coming from, and we just can't. It's hurting this wonderful company because they're throwing out all these allegations. If you're going to throw out allegations, then let's hear why. Let's hear what you got.
Well, and there's another part to this too, which I have to tell you, I scratch my head about, and that is that if there aren't programs like telehealth that would be available for the uninsured, that person, when they get sick, is going to go to UF Health, which is our hospital.
Our safety net hospital.
Our safety net hospital. And that cost that we are already paying very good money towards now. I think it used to be $60 million a year. I'm not sure where it is in this.
Where it is.
But probably somewhere in that area. But that increased subsidy would become a reality if those people found that UF Health was the only option that they were going to have. Listen, along with emergency books.
I will say to you that the unfortunate part about politics is everybody wants to know what's going to happen that they can show their work in 2 years and all of it's, the truth is so much of this is an investment in our future that none of us who are currently in office are going to fully see until we see the follow-on effects. But the truth is, anytime that you can prevent something as opposed to react to it, you're going to save a whole lot of money. And that's really been the lens that we've brought to all this. And if we can keep people out of the emergency room, then we can keep us from, and in fact, as you pointed out, they're already at crisis levels over at UFL for the patients that they have to see. Okay. What are we going to do, if that goes worse? What are we going to do if the ACA goes away? What happens then? I mean, all these things you have to try to plan for in advance and see. But this has been a brilliant program, and I really want to see it continue. And I really want to see the petty partisan Washington-style politics that we are seeing come to an end in our city. I want to get back to the days when nobody cared what party the mayor was. Nobody even thought about what party the mayor was. Nobody cared about what parties the city council. We're supposed to have nonpartisan elections here. Isn't that funny? I mean, and yet so often partisan politics take over what happens. And I think I would challenge anybody to say I have not conducted myself in a way since I've been in this office to where I have never invoked party on anything, nor would I. We should leave our party labels at the door when we walk into this office, all of us. And we should do what's best for our city. And that's what I'd like to see us get back to.
I totally reiterate what you're saying because Mike Paulbert and I, but I was talking to a group of the folks from the Civic Council, and we understand the way it works. When you run for office, you got to have a D or an R behind it, except for the school board. But when you get here, you are mayor for all of the city, or you're a Jacksonville City Council person. You should not be making your vote based on the letter behind your thing. When you do that, then what you do is you begin to divide. It's divisive, and it carries over.
Absolutely.
And it works. It's not good. Mr. Tolbert?
That was Hightower's observation, not an opinion. I just want
54 years of observation.
Let's change lanes a minute and talk about 2027.
Okay.
Mayor, when you face re-election, UNF poll this summer had your approval rating in the mid-60s, which folks involved in politics believe is pretty damn good. The same poll had the city council in the low 20s, which is in the toilet. Council members like Ron Salem and Roy Diamond are rumored to want to run against you. My question is pretty simple. Have you offered to pay their qualifying fees?
Mike, I don't think I'll do that. Of all the things that I'd like to pay for in the city, and I don't think that would pass muster of fiscally responsible. So no, I won't be paying their qualifying fees, and I hope
You could do a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Well, they could do a GoFundMe. I will not be doing the GoFundMe. No. Thanks for that question, though. That very serious, hard-hitting question. No, I will not.
I know they scare the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Let me switch lanes back a little bit because I think it's along the same line. When you're looking and you're thinking about the voters, when voters evaluate your first term, what do you want them to point to as defining achievements? You sort of said at the beginning, but as Mike and I talk about elevator speech, how do you want the voter to evaluate?
I want them to see everything that I promised them when I came into office. Better health. We have increased our insured population by almost 40%. Riverfront activation, you can see that is clearly happening. A focus on public safety. We have brought our public safety folks up to where they should be paid and frankly, given them the opportunity to get back into a defined pension, which helps them to recruit. We've invested an additional $80 million into our most disinvested neighborhoods. Those are all things addressing the broken promises of consolidation. All the things that I promised coming in. And I think they all address the thing that frankly is most important to people in our city and perhaps in our country right now. Everybody wants to feel safe. Everybody wants to be able to get a job. But everybody wants to know that their city is doing everything they can to create better affordability and quality of life. And we have been laser focused on affordability and quality of life. And that's what we'll continue to focus on. So I feel very good about all those things, but I feel the best about the fact that everywhere I go in this city, people tell me they're feeling pride in Jacksonville. And that is, at the heart of it, what I wanted more than anything else was for this city to believe in itself. I think we have struggled with that over the years. And I think that we are starting to believe in ourselves, and that makes me very happy. And I hope the Jaguars will continue to win. That will be helpful always.
Mayor Deegan, thank you so very much for being with us. This is your third appearance on Mike's on.
Is that a record?
Well, I was thinking about it as I was driving over here, and I said, on Saturday Night Live, when you've hosted it 5 times, you get a jacket.
Oh, do I get a jacket?
If you want this one. I think it's a little big for it.
It might be a little big for it.
But thank you very much for being a part of our program. We appreciate this very, very much, and we're all very grateful for your leadership and what you're doing for your city. Thank you. Well, we learned recently that the JEA has hired former Mayor Lenny Curry and his lobbying firm to represent it. And Curry is registered now with City Hall as JEA's official lobbyist. The news shocked the three of us, to be honest with you, especially how Curry in the past orchestrated the sale of JEA when he was in office. We want to know how it happened. We wanted to get the idea behind it and what's going to happen going forward. And you're going to find out more about that next week when we bring you into the conversation. Thanks for joining us. And once again, thanks to the Jacksonville History Center for their underwriting of our program. And we'll see you all again next week.
Mike's on Mike with Mike Tolbert, Mike Hightower, and Mike Miller can be found on your favorite podcasting platform, Facebook, and YouTube. Visit the website at mikesonmike.com. Join us next time for more conversation with Mike's on Mike.